Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the inaugural meeting of Council for 2011 and our newly elected councillors and mayor. Thank you for coming. Our first order on the order of business is the national anthem, and we are honoured to have Mr. Jean Lambert, a free person of the city, sing this for us this evening. And Mr. Lambert will be singing it twice, first in English and second in French. Thank you.
Merci. Check. I hope everybody sings along with me. How's your voices? Okay. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, through patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, terre de nos aïeux, ton front est ceint de fleurons glorieux, car ton bras sépare et l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants ses exploits, et ta valeur de foi trempée protégera nos foyers et nos droits, protégera nos foyers et nos droits.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. The next portion of our agenda is a blessing, and again, we are honored to have a Freedom of the City member, the Reverend John Davies.
I don't think I need it.
The cameras might.
Okay. I don't think you do either. Watch what you say. I'm going to pray. You want God to give you anything special this new year? No? You're quite happy as you are? Health. Okay. I need a lot of things this year. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we are thankful for this opportunity afforded to us this evening to gather together in this place. We thank you because you're a good God. You're a kind Heavenly Father. You're a God who's promised to provide for all our needs. And this evening we ascribe to you our prayer and praise and our thanksgiving for all your goodness and your kindness. We pray especially tonight for these dear ones who have been elected to office. We pray that your strength and your grace and your wisdom will be their portion. And Father, we thank you also for those who have run in the past and today are not in office. We thank you for their involvement and for their commitment to the progress and the help of our city. Now, Father, we pray, whatever the future holds for us, help us always to be thankful for the privilege and the opportunity of living in such a beautiful city, the city of Coquitlam. May your blessing May your benediction, may your love be surrounding each one of us, and especially those in office, and may your goodness and kindness follow us all the days of our lives. We ask these mercies in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Davies. If everyone would like to take their seats, we will proceed with the swearing of the oaths. I'd like to invite the Honourable Judge Tom Woods to come forward, and Judge Woods will administer the oath of office to each of the members of Council. I'd like to invite the members of Council to come up in the order in which I identify them, and Judge Woods will administer the oath at the front of the room. We will begin with Mayor Stewart.
You'll repeat after me. I, Richard Stewart.
I, Richard Stewart.
Do swear.
Do swear.
That I am qualified to hold the office of mayor.
That I am qualified to hold the office of mayor.
For the city of Coquitlam.
For the city of Coquitlam.
To which I have been elected.
To which I have been elected.
I have not by myself.
I have not by myself.
Or any other person.
Or any other person.
Knowingly contravened the community charter.
Knowingly contravened the community charter.
Respecting vote buying or intimidation.
Respecting vote buying or intimidation.
In relation to my election to office.
In relation to my election to office.
I will faithfully perform the duties.
I will faithfully perform the duties.
Of my office.
Of my office.
And will not allow any private interest.
And will not allow any private interest.
To influence my conduct in public matters.
To influence my conduct in public matters.
As required by the community charter.
As required by the community charter.
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest.
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest.
I have in a matter.
I have in a matter.
And will not participate in the discussion of the matter.
And will not participate in the discussion of the matter.
And will not vote in respect of the matter.
And will not vote in respect of the matter.
And
And
I will abide by my duty to respect the confidentiality.
I will abide by my duty to respect the confidentiality
of any records held in confidence.
Of any records held in confidence.
By the city of Coquitlam.
By the city of Coquitlam.
Until the record is released to the public.
Until the record is released to the public.
As lawfully authorized or required.
As lawfully authorized or required.
And any part of a council meeting.
And any part of a council meeting.
Or council committee meeting.
Or council committee meeting.
That was lawfully closed to the public.
That was lawfully closed to the public.
Until the council or committee.
Until the council or committee.
Discusses the information at a meeting.
Discusses the information at a meeting.
That is open to the public.
That is open to the public.
Or releases the information.
Or releases the information.
To the public.
To the public.
And you would say now, sir, I solemnly affirm.
I solemnly affirm or swear. And
this is sworn by the mayor this 5th day of December 2011. You sign that, please.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to invite Councillor Brent Asmussen to come forward.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You'll repeat after me. I, Brent Asmussen,
I, Brent Asmussen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am qualified to hold the office
that I am qualified to hold the office
of Councillor for the city of Coquitlam,
of Councillor for the city of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself.
I have not by myself.
or any other person knowingly contravene the community charter respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect of the matter. I will abide by my duty to respect the confidentiality of any records held in confidence by the City of Coquitlam until the record is released to the public as lawfully authorized or required. And any part of a council meeting or council committee meeting that was lawfully closed to the public until the council or committee discusses the information at a meeting that is open to the public or releases the information to the public. So if you would just come around here and sign right there. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to invite Councillor Craig Hodge to come forward.
Welcome. So repeat after me, please. I, Craig Hodge, do solemnly affirm that I am qualified to hold the office of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam, to which I have been elected. I have not by myself or any other person knowingly contravened the community charter respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to office. I will faithfully perform the duties of my office and will not allow any private interest to influence my conduct in public matters. As required by the community charter, I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest I have in a matter and will not participate in the discussion of the matter and will not vote in respect to the matter. I will abide by my duty to respect the confidentiality of any records held in confidence by the City of Coquitlam until the record is released to the public as lawfully authorized or required. And any part of a council meeting or council committee meeting that was lawfully closed to the public until the council or committee discusses the information at a meeting that is open to the public or releases the information to the public. Would you please subscribe your signature then, please, sir?
Thank you. Thank you. I'd next like to invite Councillor Neil Nicholson to come forward.
Repeat after me, please. I, Neil Nicholson,
I, Neil Nicholson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am qualified
that I am qualified
to hold the office of councillor
to hold the office of councillor
for the city of Coquitlam,
for the city of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself
I have not by myself
or any other person
or any other person
knowingly contravened the community charter
knowingly contravened the community charter
respecting vote buying
respecting vote buying
or intimidation
or intimidation
in relation to my election to the office.
in relation to my election to the office.
I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
and will not allow any private interest
and will not allow any private interest
to influence my conduct
to influence my conduct
in public matters.
in public matters.
As required by the community charter,
As required by the community charter,
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I have in a matter
I have in a matter
and will not participate in the discussion of the matter
and will not participate in the discussion of the matter
and will not vote in respect of the matter.
and will not vote in respect of the matter.
I will abide by my duty
I will abide by my duty
to respect the confidentiality
to respect the confidentiality
of any records held in confidence
of any records held in confidence
by the city of Coquitlam
by the city of Coquitlam
until the record is released to the public
until the record is released to the public
as lawfully authorized or required.
as lawfully authorized or required.
And any part of a council meeting
And any part of a council meeting
or council committee meeting
or council committee meeting
that was lawfully closed to the public
that was lawfully closed to the public
until the council or committee
until the council or committee
discusses the information
discusses the information
at a meeting that is open to the public
at a meeting that is open to the public
or releases the information to the public.
or releases the information to the public.
If you would come around and sign here. Sign. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd next like to invite Councillor Terry O'Neill to come forward.
Welcome, Councillor. Just repeat after me. I, Terry O'Neill,
I, Terry O'Neill,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I am qualified to hold the office
that I am qualified to hold the office
of councillor for the city of Coquitlam,
of councillor for the city of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself
I have not by myself
or by any other person
or by any other person
knowingly contravened the community charter
knowingly contravened the community charter
respecting vote buying or intimidation
respecting vote buying or intimidation
in relation to my election to the office.
in relation to my election to the office.
I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
and will not allow any private interest
and will not allow any private interest
to influence my conduct in public matters.
to influence my conduct in public matters.
As required by the Community Charter,
As required by the Community Charter,
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I have in a matter
I have in a matter
and will not participate in the discussion of the matter
and will not participate in the discussion of the matter
and will not vote in respect to the matter.
and will not vote in respect to the matter.
I will abide by my duty to respect
I will abide by my duty to respect
the confidentiality of
the confidentiality of
any records held in confidence by the City of Coquitlam
any records held in confidence by the City of Coquitlam
until the record is released to the public,
until the record is released from the public
to the public,
to the public,
as lawfully authorized
as lawfully authorized
or required.
or required,
And any part of a council meeting
and any part of a council meeting
or council committee meeting
or council committee meeting
that was lawfully closed to the public
that was lawfully closed to the public
until the council or committee
until the council or committee
discusses the information at a meeting
discusses the information at a meeting
that is open to the public
that is open to the public
or releases the information to the public.
or releases the information to the public.
And if you would just sign for your name there, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would next like to invite Councillor May Reid to come forward.
You'll just repeat after me, please. I, May Reid,
I, May Reid,
do swear that
do swear that
I am qualified to hold the office
I am qualified to hold the office
of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam,
of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself
I have not by myself
or any other person
or any other person
knowingly contravened the Community Charter
knowingly contravened the Community Charter
respecting vote buying
respecting vote buying
or intimidation
or intimidation
in relation to my election
in relation to my election
to the office.
to the office.
I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
I will faithfully perform the duties of my office
and will not allow
and will not allow
any private interest
any private interest
to influence my conduct
to influence my conduct
in public matters.
in public matters,
As required by the Community Charter,
as required by the Community Charter.
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I have in a matter
I have in a matter
and will not participate
and will not participate
in the discussion of the matter
in the discussion of the matter
and will not vote
and will not vote
in respect to the matter.
in respect to the matter.
I will abide by my duty
I will abide by my duty
to respect the confidentiality
to respect the confidentiality
of any records held in confidence
of any records held in confidence
by the City of Coquitlam
by the City of Coquitlam
until the record is released to the public
until the record is released to the public
as lawfully authorized or required.
as lawfully authorized or required.
And any part of a council meeting
And any part of a council meeting
or council committee meeting
or council committee meeting
that was lawfully closed to the public
that was lawfully closed to the public
until the council or committee
until the council or committee
discusses the information at a meeting
discusses the information at a meeting
that is open to the public
that is open to the public
or releases the information to the public.
or releases the information to the public.
All right. If you would just sign right there over your name. Congratulations.
darn
And
pen.
Don't forget your pen.
Council members are invited to use their special darn pen to sign their oath. I'd next like to invite Councillor Linda Reamer forward.
Congratulations. So repeat after me now. I, Linda Reamer,
I, Linda Reamer,
do swear
do swear
that I am qualified to hold the office
that I am qualified to hold the office
of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam,
of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself
I have not by myself
or by any other person
or by any other person
knowingly contravened the community charter
knowingly contravened the community charter
respecting vote buying or intimidation in relation to my election to the office.
in relation to my election to the office.
I will faithfully perform
I will faithfully perform
the duties of my
the
office
duties of my office
and will not allow any private interest
and will not allow any private interest
to influence my conduct in public matters.
to influence my conduct in public matters.
As required by the community charter,
As required by the community charter,
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I have in a matter
I have in a matter
and will not participate
and will not participate
in the discussion of the matter
in the discussion of the matter
and will not vote in respect to the matter.
and will not vote in respect of the matter.
I will abide by my duty
I will abide by my duty
to respect the confidentiality
to respect the confidentiality
of any records held in confidence
of any records held in confidence
by the City of Coquitlam
by the City of Coquitlam
until the record is released to the public
until the record is released to the public
as lawfully authorized or required.
as lawfully authorized or required.
In any part of a council meeting
In any part of a council meeting
or council committee meeting
or council committee meeting
that was lawfully closed to the public
that was lawfully closed to the public
until the council or committee
until the council or committee
discusses the information at a meeting
discusses the information at a meeting
that is open to the public
that is open to the public
or releases the information to the public.
or releases the information to the public.
So you can sign there.
Thank you very much.
I would next like to invite Councillor Selena Robinson to come forward.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So just repeat after me. I, Selena Robinson,
I, Selena Robinson,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I am qualified to hold the office
that I am qualified to hold the office
of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam,
of Councillor for the City of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself
I have not by myself
or any other person
or any other person
knowingly contravened the community charter
knowingly contravened the community charter
respecting vote buying or intimidation
respecting vote buying or intimidation
in relation to my election
in relation to my election
to the office.
to the office.
I will faithfully perform
I will faithfully perform
the duties of my
the
office
duties of my office
and will not allow any private interest
and will not allow any private interest
to influence my conduct
to influence my conduct
in public matters.
in public matters.
As required by the Community Charter,
As required by the Community Charter,
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I will disclose any direct or indirect financial interest
I have in a matter
I have in a matter
and will not participate in the discussion of the matter
and will not participate in the discussion of the matter
and will not vote in respect of the matter.
and will not vote in respect of the matter.
I will abide by my duty to respect the confidentiality
I will abide by my duty to respect the confidentiality
of any records
of any records
held in confidence
held in confidence
by the City of
by
Coquitlam
the City of Coquitlam
until the record is released to the public
until the record is released to the public
as lawfully authorized or required.
as lawfully authorized or required,
And any part of a council meeting
and any part of a council meeting
or council committee meeting
or council committee meeting
that was lawfully closed to the public
that was lawfully closed to the public
until the council or committee
until the council or committee
discusses the information
discusses the information
at a meeting that is open to the public
at a meeting that is open to the public
or releases the information to the public.
or releases the information to the public.
This sign right here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would now like to invite Councillor Lucicora to come forward.
Sure you need me to do this? You must know this by heart by now. Read after me, please, sir. Repeat after me. I, Lucicora,
I, Lucicora,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I am qualified to hold the office
that I am qualified to hold the office
of Councillor
of Councillor
for the City of Coquitlam,
for the City of Coquitlam,
to which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
I have not by myself
I have not by myself
or any other person
or any other person
knowingly contravened the Community Charter
knowingly contravened the Community Charter
respecting vote buying
with respect to vote buying
or intimidation
or intimidation
in relation to my election, in relation to my to the office.
to the
I will faithfully perform
I will faithfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
and will not allow
I will not allow
any private interest
any private interest
to influence my conduct
to influence my conduct
in public matters.
in public matter.
As required
As required
by the Community Charter,
by the Community Charter,
I will disclose
I will disclose
any direct or indirect
direct or indirect
financial interest
financial interest
I have in a matter
I have in a matter
and will not participate
and will not participate
in the discussion of the matter
in the discussion of the matter
and will not vote
I will not vote
in respect to the matter.
in respect of the matter.
I will abide
I will abide
by my duty
by my duty
to respect the confidentiality
to respect the confidentiality
of any records
of any record
held in confidence
held in confidence
by the City of Coquitlam
by the City of Coquitlam
until the record
until the record
is released to the public
is released to the public
as lawfully authorized
as lawfully authorized
or required,
or required,
and any part
and any part
of a council meeting
of a council meeting
or council committee meeting
or a council committee meeting
that was lawfully closed
that was lawfully closed
to the public
to the public
until the council
until the council
or committee
or committee
discusses the
discusses
information
the information
at a meeting
at a meeting
that is open to the public
that is open to the public
or releases the information
or release of the information
to the public.
to the public.
Mr. sort this part. You just sign here. Congratulations.
It is rare that the clerk encourages such things and he worries about the precedent, but I hope that everyone here will join me in welcoming the council for the city of Coquitlam.
Stop it. You're not allowed to applaud.
I hope that doesn't cause problems for your worship in the future. The next item on our agenda is Mayor Stewart's inaugural address.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. I'm truly honored to welcome you all to City Council, to City Hall, for Coquitlam's 2011 inaugural council meeting. I want to recognize a few individuals that are in the audience. There are many people of great importance to Coquitlam in the audience tonight, but in particular some people who have held these chairs before. I see former Mayor John Kingsbury is here. Thank you very much, John. For that matter, former Mayor Lou Sikora is here as well. And I don't think she was a councillor. I think she was all back to alderperson or alderman. Eunice Parker, was it? Yeah, Alderman. Eunice Parker, who's a free person of the city now. I also see Port Moody's Mayor-elect Mike Clay has come to see how it's done for tomorrow night. Along with Councillor Diana Dilworth. Good to see you there. Most of the other city councils are doing the same thing as we speak. So, c'est vraiment mon plaisir de vous accueillir ici et de souhaiter la bienvenue ici ce soir à l'Hôtel de Ville. I particularly want to thank and recognize Honorable Judge Tom Woods for serving in the role tonight in this inauguration. It was wonderful to hear O Canada sung so loudly, and by Jean Lambert, who used to be, he was a former scout leader of mine. And for those voices that joined in on the French verse, I particularly want to thank you. Merci beaucoup, Christina. I'd first like to introduce our new City Council more closely. As I did 3 years ago, I'll do this in the order of their length of service to our community on Council. And therefore, we begin with Lou. Lou mentioned before the meeting that this is probably the 20th time he's been sworn in. He didn't mention how often he'd been sworn at, but as all of us. Councillor Lou Sikora, it's his 40th year of serving this community. Lou was first elected in the 70s and served as school trustee and councillor. He rose to mayor from 1983 to 1998. He served our community in Ottawa as a member of Parliament and then as a citizenship judge before returning to council in 2005. Councillor May Reid, who also brings with her many years of service on council. She brings a wealth of knowledge in real estate and land use, along with a lot of passion about issues like the preservation of the Riverview lands, fire services and protective services, along with animal care and protection. Councillor Brent Asmundson has had a long involvement with one of our ratepayers associations, which is how I first met him. Councillor Asmundson drives professionally, and his involvement in transportation planning, as well as his trips through our community every day, give him a unique perspective on transit and transportation issues and a range of other things in our community. And now for the class of 2008. 3 years ago, I introduced these two as our new councillors, and today they're among the veterans. Both are hardworking, diligent, and focused. Councillor Linda Reamer, with a background in banking and real estate, a member of the BC College of Teachers, and a former president of District Parent Advisory Council. She also had involvement in libraries and sports and many other facets of the community, and has brought forward initiatives on streamlining and on ensuring strong economic development and job creation. And Councillor Selena Robinson, who is both a councillor and a councillor in family practice. She's a councillor part-time in family practice. She's worked with many of our Tri-Cities organizations on some of the community's most pressing social issues. And to this council, she has brought passion for issues as diverse as bike lanes and cosmetic pesticides. And the only council member I know who has won 3 elections during his 3 years on council, Councillor Neil Nicholson. Councillor Nicholson is a chartered accountant and brings deliberate and thoughtful input to policy matters around the council table. He has many years of interest and service on organizations like Douglas College and the BC Senior Games back in '91. But in many ways, tonight is about our 2 newcomers, both of whom I count as friends. Councillor Terry O'Neill is a longtime journalist and writer and has researched and written about many of the issues that councils and governments have to deal with every day. He once had a strong involvement in his neighborhood association in Eagle Ridge, and he and his wife Mary remain deeply involved in many aspects of our community, from education to philanthropy to our own Coquitlam Foundation. I'd ask you all to welcome Councillor Terry O'Neill. And Councillor Craig Hodge, whom most would consider to be more comfortable behind the camera than in front of it. Craig has covered more of the stories, the issues, the people of Coquitlam than perhaps anybody else, having spent almost all his adult life as a photojournalist right here in the Tri-Cities. Former Chamber of Commerce president, Craig and his wife Darla are raising their 3 young children here in our community. The 3 children are here. I know Darla's off on a photo shoot tonight at another city council, I believe. His involvement in issues such as amateur sport will undoubtedly help us as we continue to move forward in that area. I'd ask you all to welcome again Councillor Craig Hodge. And I want to thank all of the other candidates who put their names forward for City Council, a couple of whom I see in the audience tonight, and I thank them for coming. Fred Sufi, Randy Delmonico, Vincent Wu, Andy Shen, Araz Rizmani, Massimo Mandarino, and Andy Wicki. Democracy works when citizens take an interest in what we're doing and they put their names forward, and I thank you for doing that. And I'm advised as well that our MLA, Douglas Horn, is here, the MLA for Burke Mountain. MLA, Doug, there he is. Thank you. Now, there are 2 departing members of council to whom I want to pay a tribute on my own part and on behalf of my colleagues and the city. Councillor Barry Lynch is a registered parliamentarian, an ambulance paramedic with a strong knowledge of governance issues. Barry brought to council a great deal of interest in the processes that can help organizations like ours do our work. As a councillor, he dealt with those issues in a deliberate and thoughtful way. He also did a lot of work at other levels of municipal governance, particularly at UBCM and FCM, and worked hard on building relationships in both those organizations. And his experience as an emergency first responder also gave council a window on some of the issues that most of us only deal with occasionally, and in tragic circumstances often, yet which are very important to the smooth workings of our emergency services. On behalf of council and the City of Coquitlam, I want to thank Barry for his 3 terms on council. Councillor Doug McDonnell, a longtime member of the RCMP, who's been deeply involved at all levels in amateur sport in our city, Doug became a real champion during his time on council. As every member of council will attest, Doug was a driving force for the increased member strength in our local RCMP detachment and ensuring that we backed up the detachment's remarkable crime reduction strategy. But while Doug's career was in policing, his main passion was in amateur sport. Former president of Coquitlam City Soccer and a strong advocate for many other sports groups, Doug pushed for the construction of a number of world-class sports facilities in our community that we're proud to have today. I'm going to speak a bit more about that later, but on behalf of council and the city, I want to thank Doug for his hard work during his 6 years on council. The word inauguration means the beginning. So while tonight we focus on the beginning, I want to make reference to where we've come from, where we are now, and on some of the sometimes courageous decisions of the past council that have set a clear direction for the work that lies ahead. 3 years ago, this speech spoke of the relationships we needed to develop, the dialogue we needed to have, and the commitments we needed to build in order to see the Evergreen Line come to fruition. Well, that's now been achieved. We now finally have a funding model in place, and we have the Evergreen Line project team working with our own staff here at City Hall on getting a shovel in the ground within months on this long-awaited project. This transit line has been planned for more than 20 years, and it's exciting to see the project finally move forward with completion scheduled for 2015, just prior to this city's 125th birthday. Decades from now, I'm certain that the construction of the Evergreen Line will be earmarked as a pivotal moment in the city's history. There's no question that the Evergreen Line will transform large areas of Coquitlam into sustainable and desirable residential and commercial hubs. It will attract investment, and truly Coquitlam will benefit across this region. But while the Evergreen Line is exciting, there are many other transportation initiatives before us today. In fact, the largest single piece of infrastructure in the province, the Portman Bridge, is being built here in Coquitlam and installed mostly in Coquitlam. Part of it has to be in Surrey, apparently. And the King Edward Overpass is a real gateway of prosperity to decades of new and exciting jobs and investment in our United Boulevard area, as well as a truly unique mixed-use riverfront development at Fraser Mills. And there are many other exciting things on the horizon, including a new library. The City Centre Library has been on the books ever since the City Hall was planned in the mid-90s. Today, as we've completely outgrown the temporary library space in the basement of City Hall, Council has purchased an existing building just down the road with a savings of tens of millions of dollars, and our new state-of-the-art library will be open within months. Council has moved forward with the Coquitlam's new homeless shelter at 3030 Gordon. This project will serve the entire Tri-Cities as we tackle the challenges of homelessness. This week we'll see the announcement of the operating partner as the project moves ahead to construction. We've also seen tremendous investment in sustainability, and the city was even recognized this past fall for outstanding corporate GHG emission reductions. And we're catching up on our road maintenance. Last year, for example, we stepped up and advanced 5 years of repaving in a single year, enabled by the senior levels of government infrastructure grants. But each lane kilometre of road upgrade, of course, required many hours of staff time at a time when there were so many projects on the books. Council is proud of the work that our staff have done on so many important initiatives. We've seen pipes and bike lanes and other infrastructure projects completed with great benefits to our community. But perhaps some of the most notable legacies of the last 3 years are in amateur sport. We have several new projects of which this community can be very proud. Our new town centre tournament facility with state-of-the-art fields and a new track provides some of the best sports facilities for young athletes in Western Canada. This remarkable facility has hosted global tournaments, including the new U19 World Championship Field Lacrosse and competitions for World Police and Fire Games. And the newly furbished stadium now looks out over one of the top track and field facilities in Canada. Our newly completed Poirier Sports and Leisure Complex adds tremendously to that success. Completed ahead of schedule and way under budget, this facility allows our next generation of young athletes a place to thrive and grow. And the new Sports Hall of Fame will allow that new generation to gain inspiration by some of the remarkable past athletes that have called Coquitlam home. And as I hinted earlier, it really isn't fair to talk about any of those tremendous and remarkable efforts without acknowledging the efforts of outgoing Councillor Doug McDonnell. Doug was the driving force in so many ways for so many of the new sports facilities in our community, from the construction of the Poirier Sport and Leisure Complex to the sports fields and tournament facility at Town Centre Park. Several new facilities in our city now bear the name McDonnell on the commemorative plaque, which doesn't seem enough to recognize Doug's role. Mind you, if you go back to more than a generation, to the late 60s and early 70s, you'll find the name McDonnell on several of the city's facilities built in that era, including Spaney Pool, where I first worked, and Chimo Pool and Centennial Room, which is currently still in operation. Raymond McDonnell, Doug's father, served on Coquitlam's Parks and Recreation Commission and was part of the construction of those facilities. So in more recent years, Commissioner McDonnell's son, Doug, also worked hard on the Council's newly adopted event tourism strategy and pushed for Council to bid on the BC Summer Games in 2016, our city's 125th anniversary. I want Doug to continue to play a key role in those two initiatives, as McDonnell's have played roles for 50 years. And I look forward to Doug's leadership, vision, and drive in continuing these projects. Doug, you've still got work to do, and we hope you'll stick with us on it. This reflection of past accomplishments, however brief, will help set the foundation for the hefty agenda that lies ahead in challenging times. The next 3 years will require creativity and teamwork to make strategic decisions in a swiftly changing context. As I look at our new council tonight, I see a diverse group with a wealth of knowledge and experience, a group that I believe has the capacity to rise to that challenge. We'll need to set aside the potential divisiveness of political ideology so we can work together to build a great city. Coquitlam has tremendous advantage in that we're the largest city in the province in which their city council is made up of independents, rather than being divided by political parties. By working together, by building on each other's strengths and expertise, we'll continue to ensure that our community remains one of the most livable. I believe it's the Mayor's role not only to search for consensus, but to help build consensus, and I pledge to work even harder to help foster that teamwork. Growth is both a challenge and an opportunity. With growth comes the prosperity of new investment, and if handled properly, growth can help fund new infrastructure that serves the entire community. Growth also brings new and greater demands for services that people see as essential. As a council, we must pay close attention to the visions of local neighbourhoods. 3 years ago, we committed to a strong regime of public consultation as we move forward with the neighbourhood plans that will revitalize parts of our city. Today, we need to reinvigorate that consultation process. We won't reach everybody, but I want to do all we can so that we can engage every resident that wants to participate in choosing the city's future. Last week was the first open house in the process of developing the Millardville neighbourhood plan, for example. Notre communauté francophone de Maillardville vient de célébrer la 100e anniversaire et est en train aujourd'hui de choisir son avenir. Millardville just celebrated its 100th anniversary, and it's appropriate that we give it the tools to choose its future. On behalf of Council, I invite everyone in Millardville, longtime residents and newly arrived, to help design that future. We'll be doing the same in Coquitlam and in other corners of our city. This Council believes strongly in public consultation and in ensuring that we engage residents in the important decisions we must make in Austin Heights and right across our city. We want neighbourhoods that are affordable, welcoming, and inclusive. We want neighbourhoods that support public transit, and we want public transit that supports neighbourhoods. And we want a community that supports the families, young people, and seniors that live here. Sustainability is a word often tossed about without great definition. Sustainability is the critical balance that makes a city, a community, livable. To move sustainably is to ensure that we are making decisions that do not take away from our children some of the opportunities that we now enjoy. We must protect our bountiful natural resources that are an integral component of our identity as a city. We can embrace those treasures like our forests, our watersheds, Riverview lands, Mundy Park, and we can continue to protect them. We're at a critical juncture in the evolution of the life of the city of Coquitlam. For more than 20 years, our northeast sector has been planned and replanned and is now taking shape into a magnificent hillside community. And as construction begins in the riverside neighborhood of Fraser Mills, we will see another excellent master-planned mixed-use neighborhood. But we also need to continue to improve our own operations from the point of view of sustainability. We've taken some steps in the past 3 years, some strong steps, and I look forward with excitement to the plan we can embark on this term in continuing to be creative in protecting and enhancing our environment. One of the most pressing needs this term will be to build infrastructure, both in response to our development, which is strong, but also in response to the kinds of transportation projects we spoke about a few minutes ago. For example, with the Evergreen Line proceeding, our important role over the next 3 years will be to ensure that every element of that project helps create the kind of livable Coquitlam we all envision. For example, the Evergreen Line will include the first SkyTrain stations designed with fare gates, which will enhance the feeling of security for people using the line. We want all elements of the station and line design, including fare gates, to serve our residents the best it can. And we're still working on the addition of one more station at Lincoln and Pine Tree, which we talked about a year ago. It would provide great benefit to our city centre, and Council is quite committed to continuing to work on that. Similarly, the tremendous transportation investments associated with Gateway and Highway 1 improvements need to be met by our own city to ensure that these initiatives provide positive results for our residents. And on both of these initiatives, as well as a host of others, I want to thank our staff. On behalf of all the City Council, our hearty thanks to the staff of this city who have moved us forward in so many ways on so many projects. For 2 years, for example, we've had a team led by our own Maurice Gravel working with the province on the Evergreen Line. And now we're nearing the groundbreaking on this massive project. I have high confidence that Coquitlam has been looking after the interests of our residents to ensure the line meets our needs. The same is true on the Gateway Highway 1 corridor, as engineering and strategic priorities have both worked with the province and contractor to make sure that the details are taken care of on a project of massive proportions. Part of that project was our own, the King Edward Overpass, which was completed on time and on budget, and the city's investment was only pennies on the dollar for a multi-million-dollar fix to a decades-old problem. Our city manager, Pete Steblin, is an engineer by profession, and engineering is a profession that's known for getting stuff done. And Pete is also known for getting stuff done. Mr. Steblin and his management team are owed a great debt of gratitude for their continuing dedication to this city and the way in which they've, in the past, and will continue, I suspect, into the future, getting stuff done. On behalf of all of Council, thank you to all of our staff who've worked on these projects. Combine that with all of the essential needs from an existing community and you have a full plate. If managed correctly, it's a plate full of positive, progressive opportunities. Coquitlam is no longer a quiet suburban refuge, no longer a bedroom community. Coquitlam is a city in demand, a city with a new reputation for vibrancy. We now have the team, the tools, the infrastructure to respond. That reputation is hard-won. That vibrancy is a direct result of council and administration that has an enviable name for taking bold steps supported by practical figures and facts. To quote one council, we're happening. I don't know which council, I can't remember which councillor that was. But while we are happening, we must be aware of the volatile world in which we live. The Canadian and international economic climate is a mystery at best, dotted with many dire warnings. It's our responsibility to monitor and analyze those realities, but not become paralyzed in our local decision-making based on the wild temporary fluctuations in a hot and cold market. In the last 3 years, at a time when much of the world was locked in an overwhelming recession, Coquitlam continued to see unprecedented investment. As a council, we opted to find efficiencies in our budgets as expected, but we also worked through the challenges by focusing on strategic advantages. Plus, we put a great deal of attention into streamlining processes to encourage investment. This approach positioned us to have the people and talent and ability to respond to new residential and commercial demands. In the next 3 years, like the last 3, we'll have to put our mind to efficiencies once again. We need to make sure that every element of our operation, every initiative, is as prudent and efficient as possible. Our taxpayers expect no less than that from us. Today, we're seeing tremendous investment in our community. How we manage that prosperity moving forward is critical, and Council and staff working with our citizens will set the tone for that long-term vision. This decade belongs to Coquitlam. This decade belongs to Coquitlam. I truly believe it. Coquitlam is right in the middle of the most economically healthy region on the continent. As a city, we've positioned ourselves carefully and prudently. Our finances are in excellent shape, and our planning is very conservative. We have more infrastructure, roads and bridges and transportation links and pipes and parks and facilities under construction today in our city than ever before, with more improvements in the planning stage. I get to speak to mayors across the country and occasionally mayors in other countries. There are thousands of cities around the world that can look upon Coquitlam with envy. The position in which we find ourselves as a city is indeed enviable. The next 3 years are going to be a challenge from just about every perspective, from taxation to sustainability, to providing services for our citizens, to protection of our environment, and defending our rights and those of our residents as a city in this region. But we're in a great place. I really should acknowledge Councillor Sikora, because as mayor, he's the one that chose the place for Coquitlam, I think, didn't you? Long ago. We are truly in a great place, geographically, economically, financially, and the point of view of the people that live here. We have incredible diversity in Coquitlam. It's out in the room today, it's in the community every day, and that diversity offers us some great opportunities as well. We're a Pacific Rim city, and those connections across the Pacific Rim, I think, will bode us very well for the future. And finally, I want to say something about the people who make this city work, our employees. I see that one of our partners, the president of QP 386, Ken Landgraf, is in the room, and I know that there are many employees in the room today as well. I said this 3 years ago, and I'll say it again, the city has some of the finest staff I've ever worked with. These are people who protect us from crime and from fire, who design our neighborhoods, who tend our parks, who run programs for our youth, our seniors. It's also the people who work a bit more behind the scenes, making sure the water flows and the drains drain and the roads get us where we're going. I worked for many years as a City of Coquitlam employee, as did my mother. I know a great many of our employees personally. I met some of them at midnight as they're troubleshooting a plumbing problem, and I know that the whole team is made up of dedicated and hardworking people. I know that all council joins me as we take this moment once again to acknowledge our staff for all they do for our citizens. And I'll close with a few thank yous of my own, and then we'll open the floor for council members to offer their thanks as well. I want to thank my family who have given me much support over the past months and years. They're all here tonight. My wife Anna Rosa, who apparently has decided that the only way to see me is to come here to City Hall. Thank you, Anna Rosa. And I want to thank my parents for everything you tried to teach me, some of which I actually learned. I want to thank all of council for their support, all of council for the work that they do, and all of the volunteers, the people in our community, volunteers for our community, but volunteers for our campaigns. You can't do democracy without volunteers. And I want to thank everybody that really had that community spirit to jump up and do these things. I want to thank as well the people of Coquitlam for the opportunity, the challenge, and for their trust. Merci beaucoup. We move forward tonight and for the next 3 years with the resolve and determination to build on our past with a strong mandate for a vibrant, responsible, sustainable tomorrow. Coquitlam, we're in a great place. Thank you. And I know my fellow council members share my commitment to improving this wonderful community, and I'd like to invite each of them, as we did 3 years ago, to say a few words tonight to help commemorate this inaugural meeting, and I'll let the You have a particular order? Is it?
I believe we will start.
Well, why don't we do that?
Thank you. My speech won't be quite as long as this worship's. Expression of thanks and a promise as well. First off, thank you very much. Starting with my wife, Mary, who is here tonight. She is my inspiration, and I couldn't have done what I've done in my life without her constant support and inspiration. Thank you, Mary. To my parents-in-law and my parents as well, they're my own personal social safety net, I guess, social services safety net. They are always there for me. My father is here tonight. Thank you, Dad. It's down there. Why don't you wave, Dad? There you go. To my brothers, I have 6 brothers, and every one of them supported me, has supported me in so many ways over the years. 3 of them are here tonight, and thank you very much, guys. And their wives as well. To my in-laws, a great big family, and they've been a constant source of inspiration, support, and more than a little bit of humor at some family gatherings as well. And a lot of my in-laws are here tonight. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. To my campaign volunteers, teams, organizers, supporters, so many of them were so good at not just coming out to helping me do the jobs that needed to be done, but also just the constant encouragement to proceed. Thank you very much to all of you, and many of you are here tonight as well. Thank you. Finally, to the voters of Coquitlam, a big thank you for putting me in this seat tonight. It was my second attempt to sit here, and the second one was the charm. And to you as well, the promise. I promise to do my very best at this job. The pledge we took there was rather limited in its scope, dealing with confidentiality and stuff, but I want to make a bigger promise to everyone that I will do my very best to not let you down and to serve all of you as to the best of my abilities. Thank you very much.
So I too want to thank, first and foremost, family. It takes a lot of energy and focus to mount a campaign, and even if, this was my first re-election, and what was very interesting was people said, "Oh, Selena, you'll be fine, don't worry." I was more worried this time than I was the last time, because I now had something to lose. So a big thank you to my husband, because I disappeared for 6 weeks. I was really focused on this campaign, and so thank you, honey. I can now hear when you talk. I can actually understand the words. To my parents and my in-laws, because they're the foundation that we have to move forward and give us the freedom to explore and stretch ourselves so that we can serve you, the public. And of course to my children, because I wasn't available to them either. The volunteers are fabulous when you ask them to do things for you that they perhaps have never done before, whether it's door knocking or leafleting or making phone calls on your behalf. It helps to stretch everybody to try new things and explore what's possible. And what's really interesting is volunteers will often say, "I've never done that before, and I've learned a lot." And that's what I love about being a city councillor. It really pushes you in ways to reach for the best that you can be. And I have been honored for the last 3 years, and I'm honored once again to be serving the residents of Coquitlam. And I thank the voters for having such confidence in me. And I know that now that I've been re-elected, it feels much better knowing that people were really pleased with my performance for the last 3 years, and I'm really thrilled to be here for another 3 years. So thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank everybody for attending this evening and sharing this special occasion with us. It's been an honor to serve the citizens of Coquitlam these past 3 years. I want to thank my family deeply. My husband Les, who has been an absolute rock, and he's here tonight. My mom and dad are both also here tonight, and both my sons, Gord and Bill, were heavily involved in my campaign this time. I also want to thank my friends and the many volunteers who did amazing things on my campaign. And I want to thank the citizens of Coquitlam for all the faith and trust that you placed in me. I appreciate having been given this opportunity to continue my service, and I promise you that I too will work to the best of my abilities and will work even harder than I have this past 3 years. I would like to welcome our new colleagues tonight, Councillor Hodge and Councillor O'Neill. I look forward to working with them, and I believe that this council will be even more effective and productive during the next 3 years. We have much transformation to look forward to, and I really appreciate having been given the opportunity to be a part of it all. Thank you.
I thank the citizens of Coquitlam for the honor and the privilege to serve you again on council. I want to thank a small group of people who gave up a tremendous amount of their time to help me get re-elected in this chair. And those are Barry, Clara, Tom, Joe, Belle, Arbans, Fred. These people gave up their time and energies to make sure that I could be back here to serve you and do my best to make Coquitlam better for now and in the future. Family. Family is something that's very important to me, and without your family support and without the support of my loving wife, Daniela, I couldn't do this job because the commitment it takes away from you. You need that strong and that supportive family. Daniela, once again, thank you very much for your support and your kindness in helping me do what I do. To the citizens of Coquitlam, once again, thank you for this trust and faith in me to do what's best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight. I think it's very, very important to all these council members and the mayor that we see such great support in here tonight. It's wonderful. I know Sylvia is sitting back there in the back row, and she's certainly, during election time, you always get a little nervous at election time. When you're running election, you always seem to say, well, I'm running last, so you campaign fairly hard and that type of deal. And Sylvia's been always very, very good about that and understanding. So, me being born second youngest out of 15 kids in Saskatchewan, I like people. People is my life. The fact is that, the residents in this community over the past 40 years have been very, very good to me. I mean, even these days when I go into a store or a drugstore or whatever it may be, the fact is people say, hi, Mayor. Well, I said, I'm not your mayor. People say, you'll always be our mayor. And that's the way it is. I mean, it's a fact, So back in 1972 when I got elected, there was only 35,000 people in the city. And it's grown, and listen, it's had grown through a lot of pains. We had a lot of pains back in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, and now again, every mayor has to go through a big challenge. There's no two ways about it. It's not an easy cakewalk for any mayor that has been elected in the city. It's always a chore to get the right things done for the people that are going to think that you're doing the right thing, And as I said, that the people in this community have been very, very, very good to me. Over a period of 40 years, I have never had any mean call or anybody that was mad at me or swore at me or said that there was something wasn't done that was supposed to be done and that type of, so it's great. From my family to everybody here and your families, the best for the season and a Happy New Year. And let's work together to make the city a better place. Thank you very much.
Well, they're not fighting. This is good. I'd like to say thanks to my children, who are my family, my friends, and campaign workers. And thank you mostly to the voters for returning me to office for another term. To staff, thank you for your vision, your support. You are the ones who vet most of my harebrained ideas and make common sense out of them. As the mayor said, We are in an extremely positive environment. This should be a very busy term for us. We have 2 new councillors with their new bright ideas and vision that we've all heard about, and I'm dying to see work. And I look forward to working with our new council. So happy holidays to you all, and thank you for coming this evening.
There. I did learn to push the button eventually. So this round, coming around the table toward me, is a little bit like one of the all candidates meetings. It becomes more and more difficult to be fresh, but it does give you some time to think. So I do have some thank yous to give, but before I do those, I did listen to the mayor's inaugural address, and I'm looking forward to the typed copy so I can check up on it later. But I want to bring a little bit of balance, bring a little balance that he couldn't, because he gave you all brief bios of each of us. And of course, he couldn't do a brief bio of himself. His bios of us were entirely kind and mostly accurate. I didn't have the opportunity to do enough research to really give justice to a bio, but I can give you a couple of contrasts as between the mayor and myself. He's a writer, and he spent much of his career writing about the building code. I'm an accountant, so between the two of us, if you suffer from insomnia, you know where to come to. But we've also both learned that it doesn't matter what your profession is, if you approach it with humor, you can get an awful lot done. Richard's heritage is Scots and French. Mine is Irish. Most people would say, well, there's not much to be made out of that combination. I need to make the point, though, that occasionally in history, the Scots, the French, the Irish have come together in common cause and had a reasonable amount of effectiveness in bringing confusion to the English. I think that tells us, though, that we can work together. If we find a common cause, and we've done that, we can continue to do that, and we can work together along with all the rest of council to bring great things to the city. And that's, I've told you everything I'm prepared to tell you about the mayor. When it comes to the thank yous, there are far too many individuals to single out. I'm gratified at the response that I got at the polls this time from the public, from all the people of Coquitlam. I'm very grateful to the people who voted, to the people who helped get them out to vote. But the people I really have to mention are my family. My wife, Barbara, who's here tonight, our 2 children and their spouses, which over not very many years have really turned into being us having 4 children rather than 2 and spouses. There were great supports throughout the campaign, but the finest thing of all are the 2 grandsons who were here tonight. If any of you have grandchildren, you'll know that just a few minutes of grandchild time can peel away a couple of years of tiredness and send you back out on the road. If you don't have grandchildren yet, I have to tell you that there is absolutely nothing you can do about that except wait. But it's worth waiting for. Thank you to my family. Thank you to all my friends.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the residents of Coquitlam for selecting me to be their voice on council. And I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank my friends and volunteers and people who helped on my campaign. And there's many of you here in the room tonight, so thank you to everybody who helped to work to get me elected. And a special thank you to my wife, Darla, and my 3 sons, Robbie, Brandon, and Dawson, who were beside me the whole way during the campaign. And guys, we learned a lesson on November the 19th, and we learned that if we have a dream and that we all work hard together, we can achieve that dream. So thanks, guys. My sister Carol is here tonight who helped keep things running at home while I was out on the campaign trail. And I'd also like to recognize my parents who are here tonight. Bob and Peggy Hodge, who 46 years ago brought our family here to make Coquitlam our home. And this is an exciting time for our city. Over the next several years, we're going to be making many decisions, as the mayor outlined in his speech, and things that are going to set the course for the future of Coquitlam. And I'm grateful that you've selected me to be part of that decision-making process. And thank you for placing your trust in me, and I look forward to serving you. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of Council for their comments. Thank you all for coming. I missed a couple too. I've got my mother-in-law's here. Thank you, Nonna. And my sister-in-law, Mary, and my sister-in-law, Angela, and my brother, Ray, and we could do it. All 4 kids are here. They all worked hard on the campaign. They fought together too, really well. They fought really well. Yeah. And I do especially want to thank Reverend John Davies, who blessed us, truly blessed us by his presence tonight. This is the first time I've ever been at an event with you where I spoke longer than you. And I didn't have a prayer. Sorry. So, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to speak to the fact that there's a reception to follow in the city lobby, and that will take place once we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Sikora, second by Councillor Reamer. Okay, it was Reamer. To adjourn. Any debate over that? All in favor? Opposed? Our first motion is carried unanimously. Thank you all.